What if I told you that somewhere in this world, a faceless presence walks among us? Someone who spent 10 hours in a house with 4 corpses, eating ice cream while children's blood dried on the walls. What if I told you this killer left behind DNA, fingerprints, blood, even excrement, and still walks free after 24 years? Welcome to Silent Evidence, where we dive deep into true crime stories and cold cases that still leave behind unanswered questions, forgotten victims, and chilling details. Make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new case. Now let's get into it. December 30th, 2000, the last day of the millennium. In a quiet Tokyo neighborhood, evil didn't just visit. It moved in, made itself comfortable, and committed acts so depraved they would shatter Japan's sense of safety forever. This is not just a story about murder. This is about the night a family's sanctuary became a slaughterhouse, and how an intruder turned their home into his personal playground of horror. December 30th, just another ordinary day. Mikio Miyazawa, a creative mind who shaped corporate identities, enjoyed breakfast with his family, unaware of what lay ahead. His wife, Yasuko, prepped for her tutoring sessions, while 8-year-old Niina practiced piano and 6-year-old Ri played without a care in the world. The family headed out for groceries near Chitose Karasuyama Station, stocking up for New Year's celebrations. Evening arrived, and they sat down together for their final meal. Later that night, Mikio checked his emails. Just another routine moment. But that timestamp, 10:38 p.m., would soon become a key piece of evidence. It marked the boundary between their peaceful life and the nightmare that followed. 11:30 p.m. Their home, once a place of warmth and laughter, became a crime scene drenched in unimaginable horror. The intruder didn't just break in. He violated their sanctuary with the precision of someone who had studied their movements, waited for the perfect moment. Police believe he climbed through the second-floor bathroom window. His first victim was 6-year-old Ray, sleeping peacefully in his bunk bed, innocent, unaware. The killer didn't even reach for a weapon. Instead, his hands became instruments of destruction, wrapping around the tiny throat of a boy who had never even seen the danger coming. He squeezed, hard, until all the light faded from Ray's world, forever. But death is never silent. Mikio heard something, a sound. He got up, unknowingly walking straight into the abyss. What awaited him was no simple fight for survival. It was a slow, merciless execution. Killer carrying a 21-centimeter sashimi knife, not for theft, not for intimidation, for butchery. He stabbed Mikio again and again. The knife tore into Mikio's body, his face, his neck, his chest, his arms, his thighs. The sheer violence of the attack was enough to break the blade, driving a jagged shard into his skull, a piece of the weapon that would never leave him, not even in death. But the killer wasn't finished. With Mikio's blood still dripping from his broken weapon, he climbed to the attic, where 41-year-old Yasuko and 8-year-old Niina were sleeping. His knife was damaged, so he descended to the kitchen to find another blade. When he returned, Yasuko had awakened. Perhaps she heard her husband's dying screams. Perhaps a mother's intuition told her something was wrong. She tried to escape with her daughter, climbing down from the attic, desperately reaching for a first aid kit to help her husband, maybe to defend her child. But the killer caught them, and what he did next reveals the true depth of his cruelty. The stab wounds on Yasuko and Niina were described by investigators as more excessive than those inflicted on Mikio. He didn't just kill them, he mutilated them, stabbing them even after they were dead. Mother and daughter were found together at the bottom of the stairs. Yasuko's body lying protectively over her child, having died trying to shield Niina until her final heartbeat. In less than an hour, an entire family had been butchered. But incredibly, impossibly, the killer's night of horror was just beginning. What happened next will haunt you forever. Instead of fleeing, the intruder turned the family's blood-soaked home into his personal entertainment center. For up to 10 hours, he lived among their corpses like it was a hotel. He raided their fridge, devouring 4 cups of ice cream straight from the containers and drinking their barley tea as blood pooled around the bodies. He treated his wounds with their first aid supplies, bandaging himself with materials meant to heal, not conceal murder. Between 1:18 and 1:23 a.m., he used their computer, browsed through Mikio's personal files, and even created a new folder perhaps to store something connected to his crimes. The most disturbing act. He used their bathroom and left his waste unflushed. It wasn't carelessness, it was a final, vile desecration. Analysis later showed he had eaten sesame spinach and string beans, a meal often prepared by mothers for their sons. He then changed into Mikio's clothes, literally wearing the identity of the man he had killed. He may have even slept on their couch, resting in comfort amid the carnage he caused. This wasn't just murder, it was psychological torment that extended far beyond death. December 31st, 2000, New Year's Eve. Haruko had been calling her daughter's house repeatedly that morning, growing more concerned with each unanswered ring. These weren't just neighbors, this was her family, living just next door. Something felt wrong. At 10:40 a.m., using her own key, Haruko entered the house. What she found first was her son-in-law Mikio, lying in a pool of his own blood at the bottom of the stairs. But this was only the beginning of her nightmare. She climbed the stairs and found her daughter Yasuko and granddaughter Niina, their bodies intertwined in death. Finally, she checked on little Ray, finding him in his bunk bed, looking almost peaceful except for the fact that he would never wake up. At 10:56 a.m., Haruko called police, her voice breaking as she tried to explain the unthinkable to operators who couldn't believe what they were hearing. But nothing could prepare the responding officers for what they were about to witness. What investigators found defied every principle of criminal investigation. The killer had left behind what police called Takara no Yama, a mountain of treasures, meaning an unprecedented treasure trove of evidence. His fingerprints were everywhere. His DNA was recovered from multiple sources. His blood marked the locations where he had treated his wounds. He had abandoned personal clothing, including an AirTech jacket, a grey and purple raglan shirt, gloves, Slazenger shoes, and even a waist pouch, each item offering forensic clues but no clear answers. DNA analysis revealed something extraordinary about this elusive figure's background. His mitochondrial DNA suggested his mother was of European descent, possibly from countries near the Mediterranean or Adriatic Sea. His Y chromosome indicated his father was of Asian descent, with markers appearing in 1 in 4 or 5 Koreans. Sand found in his clothing contained grains not found in Japan, suggesting possible foreign travel or residence. He was estimated to be around 170 centimeters tall with a thin build. Analysis of his feces confirmed his last meal before the murders. With all this evidence, more than most detectives see in their entire careers, investigators were confident they would solve the case within days. They had everything needed to identify and capture this elusive killer. What they didn't anticipate was that having all the evidence in the world means nothing if the perpetrator doesn't exist in any database anywhere on Earth. The Setagaya murders triggered the largest criminal investigation in modern Japanese history. Over 24 years, approximately 280,000 police officers have worked on this case, more than the population of entire cities. A reward of 20 million yen, approximately $200,000 has been offered for information leading to the killer's arrest. Every year, officers distribute flyers near the crime scene, displaying a mannequin wearing clothes similar to what the killer wore. It's a haunting reminder of the faceless presence who remains free. Retired police chief Takeshi Tsuchida, who led the initial investigation, still visits Haruko regularly. The Setagaya murders didn't just claim 4 innocent lives, they changed the very fabric of Japanese law. Prior to 2010, Japan had a statute of limitations on murder cases. After 25 years, if a killer hadn't been caught, they could never be prosecuted. The brutality of this case, combined with public outrage over the possibility that this faceless killer might escape justice due to a legal technicality, sparked nationwide protests. In April 2010, the Japanese Diet passed groundbreaking legislation abolishing the statute of limitations for murder and other capital crimes. The case also shattered Japan's sense of safety and security. As retired police chief Tsuchida noted, this incident is a barometer of public safety in Japan. People find it terrifying that something like this could happen in such a secure neighborhood, in the safety of a family home. The murders forced an entire nation to confront the reality that evil could strike anywhere, anytime, even in the safest corners of their world. 24 years later, the questions that began this nightmare remain unanswered. Why did this killer choose the Miyazawa family? What drove him to spend 10 hours among their corpses? How does someone leave behind every possible piece of evidence, yet remain completely invisible? Is he still alive, walking among us, knowing that he committed these heinous crimes and escaped justice? Does he have a family of his own now? Does he look at his children and remember the children he murdered? 24 years have passed since a shadow walked into the Miyazawa home and destroyed not just 4 lives, but the innocence of an entire nation. Mikio will never again share his love of animation. Yasuko will never again teach children who looked up to her. 8-year-old Niina will never dance ballet or play piano. 6-year-old Rei will never grow up, never experience the life that was stolen from him in his sleep. The Tokyo Metropolitan Police have promised they will never give up until this case is solved. Every year, they return to that neighborhood, hoping against hope that someone, somewhere, remembers something that could finally bring this faceless perpetrator to justice. But this isn't just about solving a case. This is about honoring 4 innocent lives that were butchered by a presence who spent 10 hours desecrating their memory. This is about ensuring that Mikio, Yasuko, Niina, and Rei are remembered not just as victims, but as real people whose lives had meaning and value. If you know anything about this case, no matter how small, contact the authorities. And if you want us to continue telling these stories, consider subscribing, supporting us on Patreon, and sharing this video, because silence is the accomplice of evil. This is Silent Evidence. Thank you for listening.